Well, that was a rough start. Looks like everything's going fantastically now, but just hoping many of you find your way here because this is... So what's been going on, just for those of you that were here and watched several attempts to launch the show, what I've started doing is, and it's worked brilliantly up until now, up until tonight, but for the last several shows, we've streamed to both Twitch and to YouTube, and it's worked good. It worked really good. And we streamed to TFR, Twitch, and YouTube on Friday and Saturday shows. But tonight, the service that I'm using must be having a hell of a time because it wasn't working well at all, obviously. And so I'm sending out the stream to them. They're supposed to split it, send it out to the different platforms, and that's where our lag was coming from, that horrible, horrible lag. So I don't know if there's something going on their end or not, but in lieu of us having such a late start now, we missed 20 minutes of the show. I just went for the short intro, and we'll just get right into it. Welcome, everybody. It's our Wednesday show, of course, because what day is it?
Hump day.
Hump day. That, of course, is my good friend and co-host, Mr. Don Longbeard, who is here. How you doing, Don?
You know the problem is that you haven't done Twitch with me on yet.
Well, maybe that is the problem.
You know how that goes. Anytime Don shows up, things go sideways.
Well, that's true, but it's the zest of life, right? Yeah. So
that's right. Maggie's on Thursday. I'm like, what the hell does that mean? Oh, Maggie's on Thursday. That's right.
So anyway, it looks like this is going to work just fine. So we'll get right to it. We're going to get to the news. Obviously, we're going to get to some more odds and ends, and we'll close it all out with the cryptid corner. So yeah, that's frustrating though. Haven't had a technical issue start like that for quite a while. Yeah. We used to get them all the time when we didn't know what the hell we're doing. We know a little more now, and that's helping a bit. But yeah, it's tough to make everything work all the time. We're at the mercy of the internet gods, as it were.
The webs.
The data webs, yeah. They sometimes get tangled, Don.
They do.
Yeah. So we are live now, and it looks like everything's solid and working well. So we'll just keep riding the wave. Without further ado, let's get to the news.
Taste the rainbow.
Taste a rainbow of fun on every episode. All right, let's go to the news. Ready?
Uh-huh.
All right, here we go.
Done news.
Hey, Don.
Yeah.
I got a question for you.
Oh, boy.
How many seconds are there in a year?
12.
Yes, you're right. Never mind. The Minion told me that joke. Told me that
there's
joke.
There's one a month.
Yeah, every month has a second. You're right. It's supposed to be. I didn't know that one. I was like, well, I don't know. Let's Google it. He's like, no, there's 12. I'm like, wait, what? It was January 2nd, February 2nd.
That's right.
Like, oh, you got me. So,
Yep.
How many seconds in the year? There
so that's like so you're driving down the road, and this old person's crossing the street from one direction, and a mom and a baby's coming from the other direction, and all of a sudden they just kind of appear there, and you hit the brakes. What are you going to hit first?
You're going to hit the brakes.
You're going to hit the brakes, right, exactly. Some people say, well, I guess I'd hit the old man because, he's lived his life and the kids... So, you never know. It's one of those same kind of jokes.
Oh, yeah. People make it all philosophical. It's like, what do you hit first? Yeah, the brakes. Yeah.
And so your question about the seconds. Well, let's see. There's 60 seconds in a minute, and it takes forever to do the math.
Yeah. Well, there's no way I would do that math. I would let Google do the math.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the way that works. Those are way too many numbers for this head. Yeah. Anything that doesn't get covered on fingers and toes is Googled.
You know how to multiply nines on your fingers? You can multiply nines up to 10 on your fingers. Did you know that?
Yeah. Okay.
So 9, right? 9 times 1 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18.
Oh yeah,
9
18.
times 3 is 26.
7.
7.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Yep. Little gimmicks, little math tips from the Longbeard tonight, folks. So,
Stupid stuff Don knows.
which is great if you're multiplying in 9s. You got it. You multiply in 8s,
I
doesn't
can
work.
actually show you how to do 5s too, but that's different. We'll just
Yeah,
pass by that one. That was a little more cerebral.
Okay. All right. So, anyway, we're gonna get to the news here and see just what I've curated for you tonight. Yeah. I hate technical difficulties. They haven't happened for so long, and then they happen. It's like, oh, wait a minute, this is not the way it was supposed to go tonight.
Oh wow! Sorry to hear that, RJ.
What happened?
Tomorrow, laying my step grandfather to rest.
Aw.
Yeah.
But on a brighter note, first news item of the day is, ladies and gentlemen, it is Sheldon's birthday.
It's Sheldon's birthday?
Sheldon's birthday.
What is
Sheldon
he?
Thomas.
12 and a half?
He's 29. So this makes it
Wow.
his golden birthday.
Golden birthday?
Happy golden birthday, Sheldon.
What the hell is a golden birthday?
It's when the date of your birthday and your age are the same number. Now mine was the first. My first birthday was my golden birthday. But it's supposed to be an extra special birthday.
I don't know what that means.
It's a golden birthday is what they call it. When the day of the month. So if you're born if you're born on July 4th,
Yeah.
then when you're 4 years old on your birthday, that's your golden birthday because your age and the number of the day and the month matches.
Yeah.
So it's called a golden birthday.
Yeah, I had the same problem. My birthday is 01/01/1971.
Yeah, you were a first. Your first birthday was your golden birthday.
Yeah, so everything's downhill after that.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. So anyway, there you go.
Dang
folks.
it.
There you go. Golden birthday. Happy birthday, Sheldon Thomas. Hope you're having a great time if you're out there listening and you've enjoyed your day well.
Yeah, absolutely.
You only get one of those in your lifetime,
right.
so.
You only get one of each of them. Oh, a golden birthday? No, that's different, yeah.
Yeah, you only get one of those.
But I get one every year.
No, yeah. You get one day a year, but you only get one golden
How
birthday in a
dare you?
lifetime.
I get the whole month.
Well, all right.
Well, okay, I take the whole month.
All right. Yeah. Let's get to the news. I got a few articles pulled up, and we'll check them out. I think they're good news tonight. Not like good, happy, but just
nice try.
interesting. Interesting. All right. This is from unexplained-mysteries.com. Please support this site. They're doing great things, and every little bit you can helps stop over there, visit their site.
Yep.
Every click they get, people visiting their site, helps to pay their bills because they have ads and stuff, and that goes a long way into keeping these things floating. So definitely go support them. And first article tonight is unexplained-mysteries.com brings us CIA allegedly involved in retrieving materials from UFO crash sites.
No way.
What? This is breaking news, Don.
Oh yeah, breaking news. Yeah, it's never happened before.
Never. Not like it happened in 1947. No, there wasn't a CIA back then, was there?
No, there wasn't a CIA.
No, but there was government.
Yeah.
According to a new media report, based on anonymous sources, the CIA has been running UFO retrieval missions for years. It wasn't that long ago that claims of secretive government programs involving UFOs would have been dismissed out of hand as conspiratorial nonsense. Yet, in recent years, we've seen everything from the launching of a new Pentagon UFO office by the official release of UFO video clips showing unknown objects being pursued by U.S. Navy pilots off the coast of the United States. Clearly, someone or something is frequenting our skies. The question remains, who or what? Now, according to a new article published in the Mail Online, anonymous government sources have reportedly come forward to claim that the CIA's Office of Global Access, OGA, which is part of the agency's Science and Technology Directorate, has been playing a pivotal role in the retrieval of materials from alleged UFO crash sites for years.
Color me shocked.
Yeah, exactly. The article cites 3 separate anonymous sources who maintain that the U.S. military has attended the crash sites of at least 9 non-human craft over a period of several decades. There's at least 9 vehicles. There were different circumstances for different ones. One of the sources told Mail Online it has to do with the physical condition that they're in. If it crashes, there's a lot of damage done. Others, 2 of them are completely intact. One of the CIA office's roles, the source claimed, is to enable the U.S. military to access crash sites in places that would otherwise be out of bounds, such as behind enemy lines in other countries. They are basically a facilitator for people to get in and out of countries, the source said, and they are very clever at being able to get anywhere in the world they want to. Given that 3 sources remain anonymous, however, it's impossible to corroborate any of their claims. Yeah, exactly. And you know, this is a foregone conclusion. You know what I just was hearing about?
What's that?
That over basically Black Friday, there was apparently some motions made in our government to kind of backtrack on the open idea of UFO information.
Wow, how weird would that be?
Yeah, some of our politicians are getting involved in that and trying to kibosh it. Now, I don't think it matters much either way, because I don't expect any real wellspring of information to pop up in the government circles for UFO information and whatever's been, gleaned from this. But it is disturbing that some of our senators and representatives are actively trying to kibosh that. So if they're in your district, get them out.
Yeah.
Get these people out. They're not working for you. They're working for whomever is paying their who's bidding on that and making them do these angles. These are not our friends. These are not people that are interested in our well-being as a people.
Progressive knowledge.
Yeah. So find out who they are and vote them out. All right. I don't usually get political, but that one offended me.
Well, that's not just political. That's just saying, you know what? They don't have our best interests at heart. And that's what they're supposed to do. So that's got nothing to do with political. It's got something to do with the fact that they're just not doing their job.
Well, yeah, and it is, the reason I say political is because I don't usually encourage any kind of voting or even have those discussions. But that one pisses me off for sure.
Yeah. I mean, you got to fire, you can fire your doctor, by the way. Did you know that? If you don't like what your doctor says, you can go find another one.
Sure.
So, second opinions, it's the same kind of thing, though. If you don't like your senator, your representatives, your people to grassroots, get rid of them.
Yep. Get them out of there.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
Get them out of there. Let's get term limits.
There you go. Yeah.
That would solve a lot of the BS for sure.
Or give them, salary caps.
Yeah, well. Yeah, that too. There's so much that could be done. But anyway, this isn't a political show. So anyhow,
back to the news.
Let's move on. Next up in the news is the next article I've pulled up for you. And this one was really bizarre, and it comes from the world of the bizarre from unexplained-mysteries.com, which is a fitting thing.
Oh, jeez.
All right. Here you go, folks, from unexplained-mysteries.com.
Oh, man.
Man with constant headaches found to have chopsticks stuck in his skull. Yeah, that'll probably give you a few aches.
That's just a piercing pain.
I don't know what's wrong. Sir, why do you have antenna? A man from Vietnam was recently shocked to discover the horrifying reason for his unexplained headaches. The man, whose name has not been disclosed, had decided to seek medical attention after suffering from severe headaches and a loss of vision after an altercation with at a live bar 5 months earlier. After being admitted to Cuba Friendship Hospital in the city of Dong Hoi, he underwent the scans in an effort to determine what could be causing such debilitating symptoms. Incredibly, doctors discovered he had 2 foreign objects stuck in his skull. At first, the man couldn't imagine how he had ended up with chopsticks inside his head, but when he cast his mind back to the altercation with another man that had happened at a bar 5 months earlier. At the time, he suffered a head injury and had visited the hospital where he was patched up and sent on his way. Take some Tylenol, it'll be fine. Now, it seemed as though the person he had been fighting with must have pushed the broken chopsticks into his skull, most likely by shoving them up his nose.
How would you forget that?
Was he unconscious?
How would you forget that somebody shoved chopsticks up your freaking nose?
I don't know. I don't know how you get there. Incredibly, despite such an ordeal, he couldn't actually remember this happening to him.
I certainly hope not.
On the plus side, doctors were able to remove the chopsticks without issue.
In his nose?
How
the hell do you forget that?
They were in his head.
Wow.
So what did he push it up there and then break him off? I don't know.
I'm
That's
gonna break this off in your nose.
that man was trying to kill him.
Yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, I mean that's generally
But
how that works. But he lived and just had some headaches.
how do you?
I don't know. Craziness, folks.
I can't even imagine that. It must have went through the sinus.
Yeah, it
How
would have
deep
to.
were they actually, though? I mean,
I don't know. I have no idea. But I was trying to figure, how did that happen? I mean, sometimes you can see those kung fu practitioners take chopsticks and lob them and stick them into wood doors.
Yeah.
So they really can, obviously become a weapon, but up your nose and you don't remember it?
up your nose, man.
Man, that guy must have been just lit.
Yeah, no doubt.
If he doesn't remember that
Wow,
happening.
that's sake. That was some good sake.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Anyway, hi, Mom. Glad to see you. We had some tech issues at first, but we got it all working. At least somewhat working. We're not streaming to Twitch tonight, but which kind of breaks my heart. But anyway,
I
I'll
just
look
can't
into that.
imagine having chopsticks jammed up your nose and you forgetting about it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
incredibly odd. But there you have it, folks. True story, apparently.
Elaine says I couldn't be drunk enough to forget that. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. We'll do one more and then we'll move on because
I have this problem with my sinuses. I think I've got an infection.
I've got a really plugged nose. Yeah, might want to pull the chopsticks out of it.
Gosh.
All right, and here's a weird one. This one's actually
If the other one wasn't weird.
no. Actually, I'm going to save this one for the trail cam.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that one.
Oh, is that later today?
No, I mean it
Later on
could
this
be.
show?
It could be.
Oh, okay.
I hadn't thought of that until just now. I was like, wait, that should be in there. So we'll visit the next one later.
Maggie.
But
He obviously didn't know playing chopstick is meant for the piano, not up his nose. Oh, Megs.
so, given that we had a late start, let's cut the news here,
Yes.
and we'll get to some trail cam terrors that I just realized I could do now. So, all right, let's get back to the rest of the show. Yeah, this is where I live, Don. This is the place.
Wow.
What the hell?
The wrong one. What are you?
I don't know what I'm doing here, dude. I'm lost. I'm all verklempt.
Wow.
I need a drink. I'm gonna have water, but I wish it was something stronger.
That'd be me.
You're stronger than water.
Yeah, well, you know.
Well, just ask Bruce Lee.
See, you know, when I get in the water, it moves.
You have the ability to displace lots of water. Is that what you're saying? I understand. Let me get this closed off like this.
Let's see.
So we got the chat on screen.
New name in here, Jason Finch from Lacey, Washington. I know where that is.
Very cool,
I was
Jason.
born over there.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently they're still
Haven't been
coming.
back.
Oh, well, welcome, Jason. Thanks for checking out the show. We've got a segment that you all know and love coming up right now. And in case you didn't know, in case you didn't catch on to that last screw up on my part, tonight's next segment is the Trail Cam Terrors. Let's get to it.
Are you sure?
It is now.
All right, let's hear it.
It is now.
Hey, I recognize that sound.
Haven't heard that for a long time, have you?
No, haven't.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Trail Cam Terrors, and this is where we talk about things that are captured on Trail Cam. And oddly enough, it was an article that I pulled up for the news, as you may have just guessed, because, it seemed very interesting to me. And then I realized, well, that's could be very interesting. So
It's your show.
I don't know any background on this. We'll learn it all together. I just found it before the show, and I'm like, ooh, that's cool. Not something you hear about every day, but apparently this was captured on a game camera in Petrified Forest National Park. And this article is dated November 28th, so it's just from yesterday. And it says That's apparently a unicorn shows up on a game camera in the Petrified Forest National Park. Again, from unexplained-mysteries.com. Here's the image.
Oh, wow.
And it looks like it's just broken tine, but, one of them's broken, one of them's still intact.
Right, yeah, they haven't shed it. It didn't shed properly.
Maybe that's what it is, yeah. Could be, I suppose, in the fall, if this is recent.
It could also be a dead, sapling tree that's not been pushed over or whatever.
Oh,
it's just,
well, I mean, it does line up with this horn thing
cool.
pretty perfectly. But anyway, wildlife officials in Arizona recently posted up still images of an animal with a single horn on its head. Yep, it's not a unicorn, though. In a somewhat tongue-in-cheek post earlier this month, officials at Petrified Forest National Park posted up game camera images of a unicorn that was spotted during a full moon. The full moon brings out the park's unicorns, the post on the park's Facebook page. I almost said fake book.
Oops.
Sure enough, the images do appear to show a four-legged animal with a single horn on its head, but far from being the example of the unicorns of fantasy. This particular creature happens to be something a little more grounded to the real world. This young male elk, Cervus canadensis, was caught on one of the park's game cameras during last month's full moon. Park officials explained. The first set of antlers that yearling male elk grow are single beams with typically no forks or tines. Yep. This young males are commonly referred to as spikes. The shedding of antlers typically occurs in late winter or early spring, but early antler loss can result from sparring, poor nutrition, or disease or injuries that affect testosterone levels. With the next full moon occurring on November 27th, we'll be sure to watch for Pegasuses or Pegasi, whatever the plural term for the flying horses is. So there you go. It is another image of it, of course, to show.
Oh, okay, so it is. Yeah, he's just
one tine. Yep.
One horny.
He's just one horny elk. Sorry. All right. Yeah, it doesn't take long. It doesn't take long, folks. The stupid ghost.
You always blame me for it.
Usually you're the source, but I think you might have corrupted me. I think it's your fault anyway. But yeah, I think it's cute. Is it a unicorn? No. It's a cute capture though, but it sounded paranormal. So there you go. That's tonight's Trail Cam Terrors.
Have you seen Shazam: Fury of the Gods?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Taste the rainbow.
Taste the rainbow.
I thought that was so funny.
That was cute. That part was cute.
Sorry.
The whole movie was a little bit of a.
Yeah, it was a trial.
Yeah, it was a bit trite and insipid, but anyway, what do you do? It was mildly entertaining.
You
so
watch it for its mildly entertaining properties.
I watch anything that takes me out of real life for a while.
I watched Renfield.
Oh,
because
yeah,
you said Renfield.
What did I tell you about
what
it, though?
What a horrible freaking movie.
I told you that. I told you it was just
you want to watch
inane.
You want to watch an uncomfortable movie? Watch Skinamarink.
I don't think so. I don't like uncomfortable anything.
Oh, that is uncomfortable.
All right, so this has been the Trail Cam Terrors, folks. Just hope you liked it. Yeah, I don't see many things on trail cam, and if you guys find things that were captured on trail cams or little videos that you think might be interesting to people, then send them our way.
Yeah,
we'll definitely put them on Trail Cam Terrors as well. It's not a segment we do much of because I did it for a long time and just basically ran out of stuff that was reasonable to put out there because I didn't want to put pictures of clowns with knives in the deep woods. Don would have just not been comfortable at all.
Yeah, no, there'd be like, shotguns and things, involved.
Yeah, Don hates clowns. So, yeah, there you go. Yeah, I guess that brings us up to an article that we've been going through for a couple shows now. It talks about people living in haunted houses.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we've been going through that. And
we just had, what was his name from?
RJ?
Yeah, RJ. No. RJ? Yeah, RJ from Ortonville.
Yeah, Ortonville, Michigan.
Grew up in a haunted house.
Yep, and yeah, he had some pretty interesting stories.
Yeah.
So that's out there on the podcast if you want to check it out.
Yep.
That was released. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, that was released
Last
Monday.
week. Yeah.
Yep.
It was well this week.
It all blurs together.
It's just a blur.
All right, so we're going to get back to this thought catalog article from people who are
Clowns hate
talking.
snake shot. Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
They hate snake shot or rock salt or whatever.
A load of dimes.
Oh God, that'll kill a person though. A load of dimes.
Yeah, it could.
Oh, for sure, that could kill somebody.
Well,
All right, number 31 is the one we're on in this thought catalog article. And again, this is thoughtcatalog.com. Support that site as well. Check them out. They got lists for everything. So whatever you're interested in, you can find some thought catalog to tickle your fancy, I'm sure.
I'll give you a fancy to tickle.
Ooh. I'm going to leave that lay there and continue. All right, so number 31.
This is not a valid menu option.
Why?
Boy,
Why
the whole night has not been a
No,
valid
it's
menu
not been
option.
valid at all.
This whole night has just been a wash.
This is invalid. I mean, invalid.
I need a nap, I think. It's just everything that's going to go wrong tonight is just going wrong. All right, number 31. My 3-year-old daughter talks about a guy called Mr. Longneck and says creepy stuff about it. I'll begin by saying I'm personally more on the side of a skeptic frame of mind with any paranormal experience, but enough things have happened in the last year to make me at least question that and entertain the possibility that this is legit and not just my daughter's active imagination. These events have occurred only in the house my husband and I bought in June of 2017, which was built in the 1920s. Yeah, well, the age is not necessarily important, but interesting. First, in October of 2017, I was lying her down in bed in the dark with only moonlight lighting her bedroom, and she pointed across the room and asked, "Mom, who is that guy?"
That's creepy.
I looked for it. See, a long neck. That sounds like if it's a death state, that could be a hanging.
Oh.
Who's that guy? I looked for a toy or something she could be referring to, but saw nothing. So I asked, "What guy, honey?" And she responded with that he was right there and gestured towards the closed bedroom door. Well, still curious, I asked her what he was doing in case I could piece together some recent episode of pretend play or a toy she commonly talked about. She said he was hiding, and I asked if he was scared, and she said, "No, he's hiding." Creepy. During this whole exchange, she was calm and chipper, not scared, and what made it strange was that she was 2 at the time and didn't really engage in pretend play or storytelling at that point.
Right.
And as I mentioned, no toys were in sight. From there, we just had funny toddler story to tell our friends. And family that we affectionately named that guy. This is the umbrella name we generally use for any other episode or weird stuff that happens around the house. That guy is pulling a prank. Next, on January or February 2018,
Right.
I was again laying her down for her bed along with her then 6-month-old brother, and we were doing the usual cuddle-up night-night talk when she said something along the lines of, "Now it's time for bed, just me and you and him and her."
Her?
My skeptic mind would argue that him could easily have been her little bro, but at the time she was still adjusting to having a sibling and rarely mentioned him. And he wasn't included in any of her talk that we were just having. What really was strange was her.
Yeah.
Who's her? The only other female in the house is our cat, and she wasn't in the room at the time, so also no toys were in bed with us, and none were in near vicinity of her bed that she could have been talking about. A little later that spring, a new name came into the conversation, Mr. Longneck. Short backstory, my daughter has this weird thing where she likes touching necks. Wow. Sometimes it's cuddly, sometimes it's when she's playing. We can't really explain it other than kids do weird stuff sometimes. And it started before we moved into this house. Anyway, she was getting put down for a nap and was a little high-strung. She was doing her usual neck-grabby thing when suddenly did it a little tougher than usual, but not enough to hurt, and said in a growly voice, "Mr. Longneck, Mr. Longneck."
Oh, my.
I'd never heard her use this name, and it isn't a character on any of the YouTube or Netflix shows she watches, so I asked her who Mr. Longneck was. And she just kind of giggled it off and was asleep 10 minutes later. This is when I started getting creeped out a bit by her stories.
No kidding.
In April of 2018, my husband found a time capsule in one of our heating vents, and we spent the afternoon looking through it. And there had been a fire in the home in 2009, which we knew about, and in which nobody was hurt. During the renovation after the fire, the owners at the time found a bunch of old stuff in the walls and included it with some of the pictures of the fire and a couple newspaper clippings. Among the old stuff was a pack of pearl buttons, some store catalogs from the 40s, and a small notebook with some handwritten names inside. I presume these were the names of the original inhabitants, and I plan to find the book again and look up the history behind the names inside it as well as the home. After all this, my husband and I are suspicious that if there is something paranormal going on, maybe these objects are keeping some energy here or something.
You think?
That's a pretty good take from a skeptical person.
Yeah.
I know this is long, but we're almost done here. In about October 2018, I was driving to my mother's house, and only my son and daughter in the car, along the way, daughter, now 3, asks from the back seat, "Mom, is that Grandpa?"
Uh-oh.
I said, "Where?" She pointed to the empty front seat and said, "Right there." I told her Grandpa was at home, as he had just recently moved in with us due to health issues. There was no one else around on the street, sidewalks for her to point at either.
Wow.
Now, there have been minor events that have also happened, but these were the biggest ones to describe in detail. I posted this in another subreddit as well, and received advice to engage her further in conversation when it comes up. While we have to an extent to encourage her to be comfortable talking about it, I never pushed it in order to avoid leading the conversation or pulling answers out of her that she would offer just to appease the conversation. One day, though, and a few times after, I just decided to ask her about it. Below is a brief detail of what she's said in roughly the past month. Me, can you tell me about that guy? Daughter, what guy? You don't remember that guy? No. What about Mr. Longneck? Oh, yeah, face lights up. Can you tell me about him? And various other questions lead to, Mr. Longneck is a grown-up. He wears a monster clothes and hat. He's nice, but also scary. He says trick or treat, but doesn't wear a costume. He lives far away and goes with Santa in the sky to his house where he belongs.
Huh.
She says he comes to our house at nap time, which she no longer has, but generally the afternoon. He knocks on our big door, patio door, walks through the kitchen, and these were her exact words, and while she was telling me this, was pointing a path from the door to one of our living room windows. I asked her what he says or does, and among other things, she mentioned he played in the kitchen with her in the spinny cow toy, This is one of those Fisher-Price pull-string farm toys. She never plays with it. I rarely see it and have never seen it in the kitchen. The specific details of this piqued my interest for sure. I also asked if he ever brought a friend in to see if I could follow up on the her mentioned earlier. He brings a friend. She's a little girl, not a grown-up, and has yellow hair like me. She is never scared of these talks, although she withdraws from the conversation when I ask about his neck and why it's long. So that's pretty much it. Thanks if you read the whole thing. I'm welcome any comments and advice. We have saged the house, but quite a while ago, and plan to do it again. I think we'll probably also get rid of the old items from the walls after we find out more about them, which is sad because it's the home's history. Looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say. Again, these were pulled from Reddit, so
Creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy.
Yeah, so Maggie said something about aliens. Mr. Longneck being an alien.
Oh, isn't that
maybe.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a typical gray or something. But he's not wearing a Halloween costume, but he says trick or treat.
Well, yeah.
But he's
true,
wearing monster clothes. What does that mean?
I don't know.
Just ragged? I guess, wouldn't that be ragged or torn up or something?
Frankenstein kind of clothes?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I'm Mr. Longneck.
Mr. Longneck, yeah.
You're a long neck.
I was just thinking of somebody that was,
Mama, what's a long neck?
All right, number 32. So this is currently happening in the house. I'm living in New Jersey. A week or so ago at 3 a.m., I was just getting up to turn the heating off and potter around after falling asleep on the sofa. I was yawning and rubbing my eyes a lot and just about to get up to go to bed when I realized this noise getting louder and louder. Like, you don't realize it's happening until it's super loud.
Right.
Yeah, it's like the frog boiling slowly. Yeah. I suddenly realized and turned my head around to see the kettle boiling by itself.
Oh.
You have to push a button down and it glows blue, which is highlighting the shadow of the button that had definitely been pressed. Well, I freak out thinking I've lost time and it was me, but I've forgotten soil rationalize. So I will. Okay. So I'll rationalize, and before I can stop myself, the words, but I don't want tea or coffee, come out of my mouth. And at which point the kettle clicks off. Like I literally heard the switch. It wasn't at the end of the boil either. I'm English, and so used to 220 watt outlets, which do everything twice as fast. So I know it was in the middle of the boil. Also, as soon as I said that, I felt guilty, like I shouldn't have been scared, like it was a friendly offer. 2 days later, I was with a friend in the dining room table, and both of us at least 5 foot and round the corner from the kettle. Nobody else in the house when it starts boiling again. My friend rushes over and points out that the button has been pushed. So much relief came over me that I wasn't insane, and I explained to my friend that this happened to me at night. A few nights ago, I was lying in bed and could hear a conversation at 4 a.m. No one around. Neighbors are 20 feet away either side. Then the kettle starts boiling. I'm pissed, so I literally say out loud, "Please stop boiling the kettle. We have people sleep upstairs." And it clicked off again. Well, at least it's polite.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, you know? This could just be a faulty kettle and a coincidence, and I don't believe in ghosts whatsoever. Really? How do you not believe? And have never seen or felt anything before. It's just freaky, but it's not scary. Only my first instinct, I feel as though someone is trying to take care of me. Well, but you don't believe in ghosts. So who? Like when you're sick or off to school or lying in bed and your mom or dad would take care of you and bring you soup and stuff. Very, very strange. Yeah, I mean, if something's boiling a kettle for you and the button actually has to be physically pressed and depressed.
Right.
How do you not believe in ghosts? How do you experience a whole plethora of things that don't make sense and still get to, well, I don't believe in ghosts. What do you believe in then? You say someone's trying to take care of you, but who? You don't believe in ghosts, so what do you got left?
Good intentions. Good intentions.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't want tea, but I might as well boil the kettle anyhow.
I didn't even bother to put that on screen, did I?
Nope, slacker.
Nope. There it was, in case you wondered what I was reading. I am so off my base tonight. It's so crazy.
Right.
I haven't had technical difficulties in a long time, and I realize now how flustered they make me. They make me flustered.
Well, it seems like every time we use Restream, and that it just, for some reason, just goes awry.
Yeah, it did. But I'll tell you what, it's just gone so well up to this point. It's like, oh yeah, Stream Health is beautiful.
I tell you, it's me.
It could be, Don. You could be the jinx on this one, brother. But it's okay. We can just stream to YouTube too. It's just another option to, expose the show to another audience that may or may not be aware that we're even out there. Because the internet's full of shows. It is, yeah. Yeah, it is. So I'll tell you what, we're going to hit the cryptid corner now, Don. You ready for some?
So
let me look at the time, though. What time is it? Yeah, it's actually 8.
What time is it?
I guess we still got more time. We can go through a couple more.
Here's some hearts for you. Hearts.
Thank you, Don.
Hearts.
Don's giving hearts.
Woohoo.
Those hearts you're seeing, those are Don.
Woohoo.
All right, yeah, we can hit the cryptid corner.
Yeah,
I got a bunch of cryptids.
Sure.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, this Saturday night, our Paranormal Portal psychic,
Saturday.
Miss Deborah Varner, will be joining me here on the show. And you all could get free psychic readings by simply calling in on Saturday night. So if you're interested in finding out maybe what's coming up for you, you want answers about potentially a work situation, your love life, finances, whatever, Deb will be here doing free readings to callers of the show Saturday night, 7 p.m. So I don't know about you, but it's a great opportunity to get a free reading. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely. So keep it to one question, though, and call early and hold the line.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah,
You get
because
inundated with phone calls.
we do get a lot of phone calls, and I know it's hard once the conversation starts to not keep asking questions, because we all have so many questions.
Oh, are all those hearts for Deb? That's awesome. Deb, you're getting all the hearts tonight.
Deb gets lots of love. She does.
Nice.
We love having her on the show. So, she'll be here on Saturday night. So I hope you guys will.
This Saturday night on the Paranormal Portal at 7 o'clock PST.
PST. Absolutely. So that'll be coming up. Psst, it's Deb. Yeah, it's like a secret. It's like a secret. All right, so that'll be coming up Saturday night, just for those of you that may not have been aware of it, and maybe none of you are, because I haven't really talked about it before now, because the days are turning into months and weeks, and I'm lost.
In seconds.
In the shuffle. I really am. God, when the stream was bogging out early, I was like,
Right.
I think I just can't do this tonight. But I'm glad that we were able to at least make it work on YouTube.
Well, like I said earlier, as long as, oh my gosh. It's
Don, did you just have a stroke? What the hell just
I
happened?
don't know. I just wasn't supposed to say that, I guess.
Okay,
I don't know
well,
what it was.
let's go with your
right,
your guides on this one.
Let's move along. Yep.
Your guardian angels that were choking you.
Deb would probably say, yeah, the lady that you got walking around you is just smacking you in the head all the time. Like, yeah, probably.
Oh, it's her. Okay,
That
that makes
one,
perfect
yeah,
sense.
Yeah.
Now I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that'll be coming up. Yeah. So.
Oh, good.
All right. Here we go. Let's go to the cryptid corner.
Cryptic Corner.
Let's do it. Let's just do it. We're going to go to Cryptid Corner. Actually got a ton of things to read. So, I mean, we've got a full 2 shows in here at least. But we're going to start out at our good friend, Mr. Wes Germer's SasquatchChronicles.com. Visit the blog, because
The blog.
got some cool stuff going on. I just listened to Wes's show, his most recent show this morning.
Right?
And he had Gary Wayne on there, and they talked about giants and stuff. And I got to tell you, Gary Wayne is one of those guys that's so incredibly knowledgeable. It's like, wow, that guy can just on a dime spit out just tons of lit.
Right.
It's really cool. It was a good episode to listen to.
Nice.
If you're interested in the topic of giants, definitely check it out.
So why haven't we had him on the
That's a
podcast?
great question. I know
okay,
there's about
yes.
a gajillion people I'm trying
Well,
to get
that's
on there.
true, yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
not always easy to make those connections, but I'm sure we can probably work something out. All right, here it is, Sasquatch Chronicles blog. We're going to visit the blog now, and this is the first one we're going to talk about. This is from today. It glared at us. I was so frozen. Yeah, it's just
Okay.
the title says so much. It's just, could you imagine
Settle down,
seeing that
Nelson.
head that's about the size of a basketball looking at you
Oh.
and pissed? Ugh. All right. A listener writes, this is about 3 or 4 in the morning.
Oh.
We'd planned to camp on a Navarro beach about 10 miles south of the village of Mendocino. A wind blew in and sleeping was impossible, although we had sleeping bags. The Pacific winds chilled us to the bone. My girlfriend, now wife of over 30 years, said she wanted to drive home. We lived in Ukiah, California, which is about a 1-hour drive.
Ukiah.
Is that how you say it?
Yes.
Okay, Ukiah, sorry. We were just kids and owned a VW Fastback 72, I think. At any rate, I was a skater punk, and I installed a Stinger exhaust pipe. The thing was as loud as the night was long. Well, about mile 6 or so, we know the exact spot, but now live on the Big Island, so I guesstimate. On Highway 128, our crappy VW started running poorly. The Stinger is an important part of the story.
Oh.
The VW started to sputter, not uncommon, so I pushed the clutch in and full-on gunned the gas. This is an important tidbit. From about 100 feet in front of us, the highway turns in this area are 25 miles per hour recommended. Outsteps a monster. I lost it. My foot had the clutch fully engaged and the other foot was on the gas. The stinger exhaust sounded like 5 million firecrackers were exploding.
I bet.
Time stopped. It was mad, Wes. I can see it right now. The thing walked out in front of us. It glared at us. I was so frozen. We basically missed this thing by about 12 inches.
Wow.
My wife was in the passenger seat. For about 30 years, I thought the thing disappeared into the redwood forest, but she told me a couple months ago that no, it didn't vanish. As it passed within a few feet of her door, it fell to all fours and crawled into the redwood thicket.
Wow.
Wow, there you go. That is a crazy, crazy experience.
Huh. I wonder why it got down on all fours and crawled into the...
I don't know. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, that's got to be wild. It's got to be surreal.
Yeah.
I've certainly envisioned what do they look like on all fours, and I always end up with a chimpanzee kind of look in my head.
Sure.
You know, that whole or gorilla thing. You know, where they kind of
the knuckles.
Yeah, they squat and knuckle run basically. Right. But some people also talk about that spider thing that they do,
crawl, yeah.
And that sounds absolutely horrifying.
Right.
I don't know what you do with that. How do you process that?
GTFO.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that would definitely be an adrenaline spurt. So there you go. That's the first story. All right, here we go with the next one from Sasquatch Chronicles blog. This is also from today. It says, I see this thing standing on two legs. A listener writes, I was born in California, but my father was a Marine, so we moved around a lot. Cali to Maine, then to Maine to Pennsylvania, and funny enough, I'm now back in Cali taking care of my grandparents' house. But anyway, we ended up on the mountain called Blue Knob. It's in the south central Pennsylvania in Blair County. PA is Pennsylvania, right? Okay. So he's not talking about California now. He's talking about being in Pennsylvania. Gotcha. There was a ski resort there, and our address was technically Portage, but we were only about 10 minutes from the ski resort. On the way to the ski resort, there is a village called Frigid. No, not much light pollution up there, so I had taken my girlfriend at the time to go look at the stars during the summer at the ski resort grounds.
Nice. On
our way back to my house, driving was when we saw this thing. Now, this would have been around 2012, 2013, after I graduated high school. It was summer and a late, very dark night. No moon, so the stars were very bright. I knew these roads like the back of my hand, so I drove faster than I probably should have. I was driving a 1997 maroon Chevy Tahoe at the time. We just get into the village of Frigid bunch of little A-frame houses. It's not that big. And I see this thing standing on two legs by the road. Now, my first thought was a chainsaw carving, because I was learning how to chainsaw carve from an artist mentor at the time. And I say to myself, why would someone put a big chainsaw carving at the side of the road? Someone might hit it. And as we got closer, I see that this grayish black thing, and first thought, oh, it's just a sick bear, because we have a few black bears around there. Sometimes a male or two, but it's always a mother and her cubs when she would have them. And there's no punctuation in this thing, so barely any. Now I'm driving pretty fast, and so it all happens so quick. But as we get closer, I say to my girlfriend, is that standing by the road, or is that an animal? What is that? And she says, I don't know, bear or something. Now, as we get closer to this thing, I start to make out more details: hair, color, hair, shape, and size. A 97 Chevy Tahoe is about 6 foot tall. Well, this thing had a good foot on top of that car. And my mind keeps telling me it was just a bear. But as we get closer, I see that its ears are on the side of its head and pointy. What? What is they seeing? It's a dog man kind of thing? Okay. It has much more of a dog-like face than a bear. And I've seen bears pretty close, and even was 10 feet from one because I worked at the bar at the ski resort, and one popped in out of the dumpster late one night when I took the trash out. But the one thing that always stuck with me was the hands and fingers and the body shape.
Of course.
The body was like the lichens from Underworld,
Oh.
but snout much more pronounced, like much more dog-like. Just standing there right at the side of the road, and the road was only 2 lanes and not very big. Just mouth hanging open and the arms much longer than a bear and the long hands and fingers. I sped up because I don't know what I'm looking at and don't want to stay there and find out. When we pass the thing is right next to my Tahoe and my girlfriend screams. And I just keep driving and do not look back in the mirror because my adrenaline is pumping and my brain can't process what I saw. We didn't say anything to each other for a good 5 minutes. And then I say, okay, I've never seen anything like that. What do you think we just saw? And almost at the same time, we say werewolf.
Huh.
I had only told my brother years after because he was young and I didn't want to scare him because we lived in the woods. My girlfriend never talked about it again after that night. Now, I'm a pretty scientific person and an atheist, so I don't believe in much that I can't see or touch. But that memory always stuck with me. Watching any scary movie involving something in the woods, or even just being in my backyard at night camping somewhere. Now, I've heard weird things in the woods, but never saw a true Bigfoot or knew or heard anyone that ever has. And I know on a few of your episodes, you guys say that these dogmen are more centered around a different area, more south of me, but I know what I saw, and it was like a werewolf. That's all I can say. It didn't do anything but stand by the side of the road, but I'll never get that image out of my head of its mouth hanging open with its teeth out. And I'm looking up and then back down its profile and see his hands and fingers. Well, that's my story. Just wanted to say thanks and that just listened to your show. Wanted to say thanks that just listened to your show. And even though I'm only in early episodes, it helped me process what I saw. Hope you had a good holiday break. Thanks for reading. Yeah, Dogman. Yeesh.
Yep.
They're pretty much out there all over the place, too.
That's correct.
I don't think there's as many of those, though. I just don't.
Right.
Because the sightings are so sparse.
You know, it seems like they're actually more selective about who they show themselves to.
Maybe that's it. Yeah.
Or, you know, they're misidentified as, you know, a bear, obviously. Well, obviously a bear, you know. I mean, everybody says, oh, it was a bear.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It wasn't a bear. But, you know, when you're talking about the elongated snout, more like a dog, you know.
Right.
And so, you know, it always makes you wonder. But I think, you know, it's not like like Bigfoot, we say, you know, counting coup, you know. They have these moments where they do these things that may get them caught. Mm-hmm. And sometimes they do. But I think dogmen would keep to themselves a lot more. They just they get these happenstance, you know, these perfect synchronicities where you actually see them. I don't know if it's necessarily I think they're just more selective or more careful than Bigfoot.
Yeah,
you know,
I think so. I think you're probably right about that too, but here's the funny thing. You know, most Bigfoot sightings are the silliest things. Yeah. You know, they would have been if these creatures are completely motivated by avoiding people, they do a really crappy job of it because,
right.
Like, you know, I've said this on the show before a long time ago anyway, but I lived in the country and I know you can hear a car coming like well over a mile away when it's out in the quiet country.
Yep.
You can hear it coming, so it's not like you couldn't hide. And then, so they hear these cars coming, and a lot of times it's at night or in the dark of some kind, evening or twilight or whatever. But that's the point where they choose to cross, right before the car comes to them. And it's gotta be like you say, counting coup, like we've discussed so many times. It's like what is it? What other purpose is it? Is there for that? They are trying to be seen sometimes, but it just rattles my brain trying to understand why. Is it because they just want to get a rise out of people? Like that's kind of fun for them? Like watch how they react?
Well, it's like you've said many, many times, it's like we're their reality TV.
Yeah.
We're someone to play with.
Yep.
I don't like the idea of dogs playing with me.
Yeah.
I don't like that idea. I'll take a pass on that. Thanks.
Birdie Cuda says boredom. Maybe that's
Yeah. I mean,
could be.
You're out in the sticks, and you got nothing to play with but sticks.
Yep, you've seen sticks and twigs and leaves and
and
deer and stuff your most of your existence.
Right.
It's like, yeah, maybe it is. Maybe that's like the big adrenaline rush. Like I'm just gonna walk in front of this car and freak them out. Because it wouldn't surprise me at all if they were intelligent enough to have that kind of inner dialogue,
right?
Or even a spoken dialogue. Like, hey, let's go razz the because the one thing that I wonder about as well is that with Bigfoot you always assume if you see one, there's probably another or several around you that you're not seeing.
Right.
So they seem to have a group kind of thing going on. Whereas I don't know if the dogmen are solitary creatures or are they potentially a group thing too? Like you're seeing one, but you're not seeing the other 8.
Right.
Or 2 or 1 more. It doesn't matter. It's just, are they a solitary creature or are they also a social creature like we believe Bigfoot to be?
They're just a bunch of D-holes.
World needs more D-holes. Maybe. All right, I'll read one more from Sasquatch Chronicles, and then we'll move on to Phantoms and Monsters. I got a bunch from Sasquatch Chronicles. Wes really posted up a lot of stuff in the last couple of days.
Oh.
So he's been busy over there.
Looks like the chat that shows on the screen crashed.
No, it didn't.
It hasn't.
It's not. No, it's not. It's just that's the other chat that I didn't close.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Here it is. Let me get that out of the way. There you go. Now it'll be.
Oh, yeah. That looks
I forgot that I have to clear it off of all the panels.
There it is. Looks so much better.
Yep. So the next one now is also from Sasquatch Chronicles. And this one is from the 29th again today. So there's a lot of new stories over there. And this is an upcoming show. So this is one that Wes is making into an episode for Sasquatch Chronicles, the podcast.
Aggressive ape.
Yep.
Wow.
This is it.
Gotta
November
listen
29th, upcoming show, The Aggressive Ape. A listener writes, I've been listening to your show for a while now after stumbling across it and have been hooked ever since. Now to begin my encounters, my very first altercation happened in 2007 in July.
Altercation?
That's what it says,
Wow.
yeah. But I decided to fool around outside at around 9:45 to 10 p.m. As I was fooling around out in the pasture, I began to hear a bipedal footfall just inside the tree line to my south. In response to this walking, I decided to whoop and holler like an aggressive ape. What happened next, I couldn't have never expected. From just inside the wood line where the footfalls were coming from the most guttural, piercing scream rang out in response to me. So this guy got screamed at. Mm-hmm. At that moment, the most amount of fear and desperation to leave, I bolted to the house. When arriving to the house, cresting the front porch steps, my dad threw open the front door, asking rather frantically what that sound was. Mm-hmm. Me still excited, stuttering out an answer of, I don't know. My second experience was August 23rd, 2015. This person is very precise. Around 3:45 p.m. I recently had gotten off of work and was heading out to check trail cameras for the upcoming deer season. While walking down the trail, I got the urge to use the restroom, so I step off the trail and have a leak. It says pee, but I thought leak fit better. Directly after stepping off, behind the tree, I heard in the direction of my camera a tree sounding like it's breaking and falling over. But it was odd. It cracked and freaked. It cracked and freaked, paused, cracked, and then snapped. And then had a long pause, then giant thud. I thought to myself, that was weird, didn't sound normal, so I finished my business and moved on to my camera. Roughly 25 yards in front of my camera, just out of line of the lens, was a sycamore tree 6 inches in diameter, broke off 3 feet from the ground and shoved back into the ground upside down. Then the most peculiar smell came about, like a skunk bathed in the mud of a stagnant pond. I found this all quite odd and out of place, and felt as though I wasn't alone, so I quickly got my camera and then got back out of the woods. Third encounter, me and my little brother were out fishing in the back pond, and we were having a good time fishing, catching, and releasing bass. We're carrying on and on either side of this pond. We were carrying on either side of this pond, when out of nowhere, a rock that's about 10 to 15 pounds come flying and crashed out of the wood line about 30 feet in the air and dropping into the pond. Me and my brother both watched it crash into the water and then looked at the woods and then looked back into each other, and I began packing up. He yelled, "What was that?" I told him it doesn't matter, time to go. I then got over to his side and the truck and told him, let's load up. And he at first wanted to stay until we made eye contact and he saw the seriousness I had of the situation. So we got everything loaded and got out of there. Fourth encounter was on 4:42 a.m. January 18th, 2023, and it was on my way to work when I looked at my clock and then looked back up and noticed movement. After locking onto this thing, it looked at my truck, but its eyes were 1.5 feet taller than the mile marker, which is 6 foot 6 inches, sign on the side of the road. After that, it proceeded to pick up its pace and take 2 more steps, clearing the other half of the road and then planting its foot by this sign and jumping across the ditch, which is 22 feet, and landing firmly on the opposite side. Then sprinting through a drainage where a tree line used to be that was full of 5 foot tall teasel plants, arms above said plants, and getting away from the road. Those are my encounters. Look forward to talking with you, and I can elaborate with more details. Easier to tell the stories than type them. Yeah, that's crazy. So he behaved like an ape, and it elicited that response. And that's kind of interesting because I think it was Les Stroud of Survivor Man when he was doing a canoeing trip, and he tells this story. I'm just paraphrasing his telling of it, but he was doing the camp out up on he was canoeing or kayaking in the islands off the coast of Alaska, and these are remote, desolate islands. Nobody's there. I mean, and he was doing a Survivor Man thing where he's out there going from island to island, and he got to this one, and he said that the way that he does things is first he sets up the shot, then he practices it, and then records. Well, he had set up the shot, he had made a shelter, and he set up the shot for the next thing, which was I think he was going to be lighting a fire, if I recall correctly, but I don't remember for sure. But he's setting it up and he's practicing, and then he realizes he's hearing something, and he stops and he said, clear as day, he heard a sound that was like a gorilla, like like that, and then this huge crashing going through the brush away from him.
Right.
But he heard that very primate, ape-like sound.
Right.
And he said it was the sound of it going away was clearly bipedal as well. Now, I did see someone had rewatched that footage or repulled the footage from that actual show, and in one of his shots where he's doing the show,
right,
where he's actually filming, maybe this took place before that actually happened, but you can see a tree in the background just whipping back and forth, one single tree, and it's a big tree, just whipping back and forth. This tree must have been 30 or 40 feet.
Wow.
I mean, it wasn't a huge, thick tree,
Right.
but it was whipping back and forth. And it's like, yeah, how do you miss that? But I guess it's easy to miss because you're focused on him and what he's doing. But it's pretty crazy. So he heard very primate-like noises being created by these things. And that was up in Alaska again. So I don't know. Maybe there is something to the whole primate angle, right?
Maybe, but I was never really in doubt about that. I mean, because, well, they say we came from apes to begin with, so.
Sure, I mean, we're primates, yeah.
Right, exactly. So, not surprised, but, just having these, what are they called? The anecdotal evidence, that just keeps piling up,
Sure.
Yeah, there's got to be something
And
to it. Yeah.
again, like Carrie Arnold used to say, is like, we have mostly anecdotal evidence. There is tracks and
Right.
there's other evidences as well. But, you can't discard so much anecdotal evidence.
yeah.
Like so many encounters mean something. I mean, and clearly there are those people like Carrie Arnold who had experienced one himself.
Right.
So the question was never there for him once he became aware of it because it was screaming at him,
Right.
like literally 30 feet away.
Yeah.
And he was terrified, absolutely terrified. And it changed his world, literally.
Right.
But not everybody has that luxury, and not everybody's seen them, obviously. And but I think he's right that so many people are seeing something that just isn't on the books. It's not on the books. Whether it's quote unquote Sasquatch or Bigfoot or not, I don't know, but it's something. And that has to be taken seriously.
Right.
All of that evidence can't just be discarded because it's just anecdotal evidence. It's like, okay, it's just anecdotal evidence, but even if only a small percentage of those stories are true, it's still something incredible's going on. So I think that's powerful.
Yeah.
I really do. So great story. Great story, that one, Don. I think here's where we're going to change gears and head to Phantoms and Monsters. What do you think of that?
Sounds like we should head on over to.
Good, because we got a story about a black-eyed woman.
Oh boy,
Black-eyed woman.
you can only tell her twice.
Oh, no, you didn't.
I'm just drinking my water.
Yeah, you're going to lose your mic privileges pretty quick. All right, so this is a story. Black-eyed kids, of course, I think most people know.
Black-eyed beans.
Black-eyed beans, of course, that's Don's famous for that line.
Thanks. Thanks for
But
inviting me.
there are also black-eyed adults that are out there, and these accounts are extraordinarily rare. Even though black-eyed kids accounts are pretty rare, the black-eyed adults are even much more rare. Yeah. So here's a story again. Phantoms and Monsters is Lon Strickler's site, and he does a hell of a job over there as well. And so support what he's doing. Support Sasquatch Chronicles blog. Go check out those sites or those stories over there. Because there's so much more that Wes posts that I don't read.
Yeah.
I usually just focus on the listener emails. But there's lots of other show postings he'll put up there. But Phantoms and Monsters is a fantastic site. Lots of encounters. You can find out information on Lon's books, his research efforts, as well as his Phantoms and Monsters radio podcast, which is also on YouTube. So you can find it and subscribe and listen to Lon talk about his own stories as well.
There you go.
And he's the guy that wrote them, so he's a great person to do the talking.
There you go.
All right, so the first story is from phantomsandmonstersradio.com, rather. Sorry, and this is Black-Eyed Woman Demands Let Me In.
We call her Karen.
Yeah, she's not that kind of Karen. Yeah, this is creepy. I don't know. Let me in. The woman demands it. All right. Let's get to the story. Find out just what happened. A pregnant woman is annoyed by the constant knocking at her door. When she opens the door, a black-eyed woman in her 50s demands to be let in to use the phone.
Uh-oh.
Even the same line. It's almost
Yeah.
like the scams on Facebook.
Right?
Hey, did you check out the Publishers Clearinghouse? Yeah, I saw your name on the list. It's like, yeah.
Cool.
Sure you did. They
Cool
just
story, bro.
got the list just floating out there.
Yep.
I received the following account. It was Saturday night around 9 p.m. and no one was home. Everyone had gone out for dinner, and I decided to stay home as I Felt nauseous. I was 8 months pregnant and exhausted after having worked 10 hours. I was in my kitchen rummaging through the fridge for a light snack when someone knocked on the front door. Well, this surprised me because my family has keys, as they would just open the door right away.
Yeah.
Also in my neighborhood, not to open the door unless you're expecting company. The knocking continued, and I decided not to answer, and they would just go away as one would do to solicitors or unwanted company. But no, the knocking continued. Now irritated, I go to the front door and look out the peephole to see a woman in her 50s just standing there staring down at my welcome mat. She seems harmless, I think to myself, and stupidly opened my door, but the screen door is still locked, and standing in between her and I. Awkwardly, she hasn't looked up and hasn't said a word, so I ask, "Can I help you?" She stays quiet, then without emotion, more like in a monotone voice, she asked if she can use my phone. I said I don't have one because it didn't seem like an emergency, and 2, people snatch phones and run in my city, so I was paranoid. She asked again, more forcibly, to use my phone, and then demanded by saying, "Let me in," and looked up at me. Her eyes were solid black, and holds eye contact with me, almost smirking. I remember those stories. I've read all of the children, but here was this older lady with black eyes. Maybe the kids are growing up, Don.
Maybe.
Maybe they're growing up finally.
Yep.
The only way I can describe how she made me feel is that I felt threatened.
No way.
I look away but quickly look back at her eyes. Something about them draws you into them. I tell her no. Then I demand her that she leave and begin to slowly close my door, but she practically screams, "Let me in!" Startled, I turn on the porch light, hoping to scare her away. But what she does next confuses me to this day. She can clearly see me now, looks down at my pregnant tummy and turns around and walks away. That's it. No looking back, no nothing. I was dumbfounded. That was 3 years ago, and I have not seen her since. My child was born without incident, and the mere presence of the black-eyed woman remains with me.
You know, it's nice to hear that the kid was born without an
Yes.
issue.
Yep.
Because so many times with black-eyed kids, we hear stories about, well, there was a black-eyed kid in the car, and I told him to get out, and then 3 weeks later, the son that let him in died of cancer.
Yeah.
Or was diagnosed with, X. So yeah, that's nice to know that apparently it didn't
take.
affect the child. Yeah.
Yep. She could not gain entry.
You cannot come in.
You may not pass.
Fly first.
All right.
So as for black-eyed kids growing up, honestly, they'd probably be, well, this is a relatively new phenomenon. 20 years, not even 20 years, 15 years.
I think it was 2012.
So that would probably put them, like, the oldest ones maybe in like 30s.
Yeah.
So they're millennials.
Sure. I guess so.
Having kids that are millennials.
Yeah. Amen. But there you go. I just thought it was kind of cool. Black-eyed adult stories.
Yeah, no doubt.
Very rare, so
Yep.
I pulled that up. Next up, we got a not deer. Now, this is a new term.
Yeah.
Newer term, anyway. And,
Yeah.
and basically, it's kind of a silly term, but this describes something that looks like deer, but it walks bipedally as well as quadrupedally.
Right.
It seems to be malicious and creepy, very creepy. So, not deer. Yeah, not that spelling, Ninja Dave. You just K-N-O-T. No, it's just N-O-T. But the K is silent, so it could be either. Let's do this. Not deer, Don. You
Not
ready?
deer.
Let's learn about more not deer stuff. Encounters forward set eyes. Oh, it has forward set eyes. Okay. Multiple bucks in Morris County, New Jersey. A group.
I wonder how close that is to the Pine Barrens.
I don't know. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I was thinking of Eric, who's over there. A group of friends are sitting in a car and talking when they notice an odd-looking deer with one antler and weird forward-set eyes.
Huh.
Later, they see 3 other similar bucks together. All right. Says Morris County, New Jersey. In early 2022, my friends and I were sitting on my car. The three of us had decided to pull over and chat as it was late on a weeknight and we had nothing to do but eat our Wendy's and enjoy each other's company. It's important to note that my car was not on. The lights were not on. My radio was not on, nor were any of the windows open. Suddenly, a deer appeared, almost out of thin air. I'd been looking in that direction the entire time, and the pond the deer appeared next to was very well lit. My immediate thought upon seeing the deer was, Skinwalker, get out. Of course, it might not have ever been one, but even just seeing the deer, I panicked. I've never been afraid of deer before, but before this moment, associated with the cherished moments I spent with my grandpa during childhood. I turned to my friends and told them, there's a deer. I think it's coming towards us. I said this before it even began to approach the car. The strange thing was there was no reason for the deer to approach us at all. As I said earlier, we were not a disturbance, and the deer we spotted was alone. More importantly, it was a male deer and no females or babies within eyesight that it would need to protect. The deer walked about 20 to 30 feet, stood about 10 feet from my vehicle, and at this point, my friends were spooked too. I noticed the deer had one missing antler and its eyes were odd and different. The eyes were forward set on its head and looking directly at us. It looked directly at me for around 30 seconds.
That's a long time.
Yeah, it is. And got into a charging position. When we tried to drive away, it started charging at my car and even chased us until the parking lot ended and became the road. The strangest part was, as we drove away much further down the road, there were 3 male deer standing just behind the curb, like a domino-like formation. The third one in the sequence was missing the same antler as the deer we encountered. They did not run into the street or off into the woods. They just stood there, staring us down. I wonder if something was keeping them in that park. Yeah, I don't know. That's strange. It didn't really say that it ever got up and walked, though, did it?
No,
It was just a
but
deer with forward set eyes.
Right. But it gave, right there where it says the deer, quote,
Yeah.
was walked about 20 feet, 20 to 30 feet. I kind of took that as bipedally, but
Yeah, I
maybe
don't think
not.
so.
I mean, I just kind of assumed that we're talking about a
Yeah.
deer that's walking on its back
Yeah.
legs.
I would have too, but yeah, then I was realizing they were just spooked. Well, if it was walking, they should have been terrified. It's like, hey, that's not what deer do.
No. Oh, dear.
Yeah. Oh, good God. Yeah. Well, there you go. That's not deer, folks. It's a new term. I don't know. I don't really like the term, but
It does kind of give you kind of an eerie, you know.
it's not a deer, but what is it?
What
That's
is
the
it?
question.
What could it be?
All right. Here's another one about Bigfoot. This is from November 24th, 2023. She'll never forget the face of Bigfoot. Again, Phantoms and Monsters.
He was so handsome.
I don't think that's what they're going for here.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm just checking.
Probably like you wanted to rip my lips off. A Florida woman's relatives, namely her mother and uncles, swear that they encountered a Bigfoot when they were younger in Jupiter Farms.
Oh, okay.
I received the following accounts. I'm from South Florida, and my mom, her brother, and 2 uncles swear by this story. One of my uncles doesn't even like talking about it, so here it goes. He doesn't even like talking about it, so I'm going to talk for him.
I'm going to tell a story.
My mom was a freshman in high school and living in Jupiter Farms, Florida. My grandpa had to work that day and asked her 2 brothers to come to watch my mom and uncle. My uncle was about 4 years younger and had Down syndrome, so the extra help was needed. For dinner, my mom's uncles were grilling on the porch when they heard a horrible noise in the distance. They were never able to describe the noise other than saying it was not human and not animal. My mom had 2 dogs who immediately took off barking and running in the direction of the sound. A few seconds later, they were running back to my mom's house in fear. My mom said everyone looked in the direction the dogs had just come from and saw this massive being coming from the woods. They said it was about 7 feet tall and as wide as the door frame. They immediately went inside and locked all of their doors, grabbed their guns, turned the lights off, and sat together in the living room. My uncle, who has Down syndrome, was visibly shaken and upset. My mom went to get a board game from her room to help calm him down, and while she was in her room, she decided to peek out her window to see if the creature was still there.
Right.
She says that when opened the window, the creature was standing directly in front of the window, staring in. My mom said she screamed bloody murder, and my uncles came running in and were frozen in shock/fear. One of them yanked my mom by the arm, and they slammed the door behind them and huddled in the living room. My grandpa came home from work a few hours later. To all of them, grandma came a few hours later, to all of them crouching together in the living room. It's been over 20 years since this happened, and my mom and her uncle swear by this story. My mom says to this day that she'll never forget that face of Bigfoot and will get really upset when people tell her she's lying. She says she knows it's crazy, and she didn't believe in it either, but she saw it, and there's no denying that. One time my dad was dropping my mom off at home after a date. As they were talking outside of her house, a row of trees began shaking violently, as if someone was tearing them down. My mom immediately ran inside, and my dad took off in his car. Yeah, I don't think you stick around for that.
Yeah, no, yeah.
Once trees start ripping and shaking, it's time to go.
Yeah, it's not a deer and it's not a bear.
It's not good. I think you just go with it's not good.
Not something you play with.
No, absolutely not.
Hi, Sheree.
I'm sorry?
Sheree Moore. Moon.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Hey, Sherry.
Muggsy's kid.
Muggsy's girl. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in. All right, let's get to this next one. Reptilian encounters face-to-face from phantomsandmonsters.com. Don,
Yes.
what do you think reptilians are? Do you think alien?
We should ask Billy Corgan.
Is he available?
I could tell. He would tell you all about reptilians. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, he says he witnessed somebody transforming.
You know, quite a few actually. But what do I think about reptilians? Like shape-shifting reptilians?
Yeah.
I don't know.
you
It's like
think-
one of those they live kind of things, you know.
Do you think they're extraterrestrial? Probably.
Well, if they are, I would say yes. Well, maybe not necessarily though, because the Hopi Indian, don't they talk about? Is it the Hopi or they talk about the
ant people? Yeah.
There is somebody who talks about.
Which they called the Anunnaki, by the way.
Yes, that's. Yeah.
The ant people were the Anunnaki.
Yeah, there was somebody who talked about reptilian people because there was actually supposedly a couple different tribes that were protected in some way during what they believe was a giant flood.
Right.
So there you go.
Yep. I don't know. I don't know what they are either, but I just wonder, are they just some creature that's, I don't know, inner earth, or is it dimensional
sure.
or what? I don't know.
I would
It's really
say
got me
inner earth because if you believe the First Nation story is about them being saved by the ant people or the reptilian people that were taken into caves and down into ground and then somehow blocked the cave from,
Sure.
it's
Yep.
perfect. Barry from Alaska told us about a Bigfoot emerging from a subterranean cavern.
Right.
So there you go.
That's right. That's right. Okay. Well, yeah, we've got to dive into this more somewhere. I gotta find someone that can speak to this a little more because
Billy Corgan.
I'm very well. I don't think he's
It's not likely we'll get Billy Corgan on our show.
smashing pumpkins.
Right.
Billy Corgan.
He's a little busy.
He might be. I don't know what he's doing now. But anyway, let's check this out. And this is the following collection of reptilian encounters was supplied by my readers, researcher Albert Rosales, and through other sources. Hello, Lon. One night I was outside and walking around my farm where I live alone when I saw a series of lights moving across the sky. So that sounds extraterrestrial. At first, I thought nothing of it, but one of the lights stopped moving and something dropped from it, like a pod or something.
Oh boy, pod people.
Oof. I freaked out and ran to my house and locked the door. Being a woman only of 35 years old, I'm easy to spook. But that's just smart, I think.
Yeah.
The next morning, I woke up with a figure sitting at the foot of my bed.
Oh.
Ugh. The figure was reptilian, like a lizard or something. It spoke English, but had a deep hiss in its voice.
Very sibilant, thank you.
Yeah, it told me this.
Get a de-esser.
I mean you no harm,
Right.
Warmling. Calls her Warmling.
Warmling, yeah, because they're cold-blooded.
Yeah. I only seek to explore your world and its life forms. I'm only a male scout, and I'm looking for samples.
Ha! You want to taste your wares.
Nice. What kind of samples does he want? I asked, why? How are you talking to me? Where do you come from? His reply, you only hear the tongue you understand, but I cannot say too much. May I take a sample from your hair?
Hell no.
My reply, I guess. But where did you come from, and what are you? He went over to me and put his hand on my head. It felt very cold and scaly, and then he plucked a strand of hair from my head, put it in some sort of cylinder, and after that he told me, "Thank you. My overlord will be pleased."
Oh, Jesus.
There you go. Then he just vanished. My skin turned numb and he had touched me, and I've had a cold ever since. I did not know how to feel about this encounter. I did not feel threatened, but rather curious. The reptilian was lime green, stood maybe 6 feet tall, and looked muscular. He wore all black from his neck down, and had some sort of belt lined with gadgets of sorts. His face had a snout like a normal lizard, but his eyes were large and purple. What was this thing, and does it have anything to do with any of the lights I'd seen before? Well, come on, you saw something drop down, lady. And will he or any of his kind come back? Note, can anyone offer answers to this writer? The scenario seems similar to others I have heard and read. By the way, the Warmling reference is odd. I remember it being used in another encounter, but I can't remember where or when. That's interesting. I wonder if that's really what they would call us.
Chucky has a good point.
What's his point?
Must be Slytherin.
Here's the next one. Location, Sao Paulo, Brazil, February 1980 at night. The witness, who for the past 2 or 3 months had been followed by these strange men wearing black suits, was standing in front of his house one night when a car drove up and the door opened. The witness apparently lost his will and was compelled to enter the vehicle, and inside, the same 3 men he had been trying to hide from met him. They drove around for a while until they reached a wooded area outside the city. They stopped the car near a large hovering object that was encircled by a luminous ring. The witness and the 3 men then walked underneath the object and were hit by a beam of light. He suddenly found himself inside the object, sitting on a chair. Suddenly, handles appeared on the chair that secured his wrists, and an iron bar pressed his forehead backwards, while another gadget held his neck. The 3 men then appeared and suddenly seemed to shed their skin or bodies and transform themselves into green, scaly, reptilian-like creatures with heart-shaped heads. The beings interrogated the witness and spoke of upcoming global events. At one point, a door in the room was opened, and he was able to see a human corpses hanging by their feet from the hooks on the walls. Everything went blank after that, and his next conscious memory was of standing next to a theater near his home.
Does this smell like chloroform?
Yeah, that's a test.
Human corpses by their feet.
Yeah, that's probably a test you want to fail, whatever the tests are.
Yeah.
Yep. If you pass, you might
You
just...
sound like you taste good. Come here.
Yeah, exactly. No, I'm terrible shape. I am not in good health. I have these rashes everywhere.
I'm round for a reason.
So now Lon says this is one of the earliest MIB reptilian accounts from outside the United States. Most MIB accounts tell of a hybrid beings that do not transform or change well, at least not out of the human public, not out in the human public.
Right.
The MIB or related phenomena seems to be incorporated in almost all paranormal scenarios, and maybe one day the truth or what I like to call the big answer, will be more obvious. Yep. Here's one, Vancouver, British Columbia.
Oh,
There you go, Chucky.
Chucky.
January 1999, late night.
Yeah, we were partying. Huh?
Eva Trent had fallen asleep when she awoke to a buzzing sound. Opened her eyes, and she was horrified to find that two strange creatures standing on either side of her bed. The entity to her right was about 7 to 8 feet tall, weighed about 300 pounds.
I bet you weighed a lot more than that.
Yeah, maybe. Had apparently no clothing and seemed to have either crocodile or snake-type skin. The creature to her left was identical in appearance, but smaller in height and weight, and they seemed to be communicating in a chirping manner. Each of the entity's eyes glowed. Eva quickly discovered that she was unable to move, and as she stared at the two creatures, she found that either one or both were giving her instructions telepathically. The nature of this was seemingly for her to create mentally visual scenes of various kinds, and then they proceeded to distort that particular pleasant scene in a perverse manner. Apparently, the creatures were intent not only to observe her emotional reaction, but also to possibly feed off the energy that was produced. After a while, Eva began to mentally resist the mind manipulation and began to pray earnestly. A short time later, she fell back to sleep, and the next morning, the witness found 5 of her music tapes grossly distorted as if extreme heat had been applied. However, no evidence of fire or order was present. Yikes.
I don't know. What's that got to do with anything?
I don't know. Yeah, exactly. Well, I think that maybe that's where they poured it in or poured it out kind of thing. Like created
Through the cassette tapes?
No, but they were just close enough that they actually
They
reacted
affected it, yeah.
Yeah.
Like the nodes on corn stalks.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. This one is, what is this? Once you're on the Paranormal Portal team, you'll never leave. Hopefully not, Kevin. I want you to stick around, all of you. We'd love to have you all stay.
Yeah, or else.
Or else. Yeah.
We'll send a reptilian.
Don will give you a beard flogging. I don't even know what that is, but that sounded funny. All right. Russia, summer 1999, rather, during the daylight. 32-year-old Mariah, was found barely alive, undressed, and injured on a highway outside of St. Petersburg. She was taken to a hospital where it was found that she had numerous cuts, bruises, and other injuries. After an initial investigation, local militia came to the conclusion that she had been taken advantage of. There was a strange detail present. The lower part of her body was covered in an unknown substance resembling mucus or frog spawn.
Frog spawn.
When she regained consciousness, she reported that she had been staying with some friends in a country cottage when one day she decided to take a motorboat into the Bay of Finland when she wanted to look at an island which had the ruins of a former Finnish glass plant abandoned in 1939. Suddenly, a dense cloud covered the sky, and she looked up and saw a huge disc-shaped craft. She felt paralyzed with fear and unable to move. As the huge flying saucer hovered over her, she lost consciousness. She does not recall how long she had been unconscious, but she woke up feeling terribly cold and fearful, and she opened her eyes and found herself lying on a metallic table, completely undressed. And she was not tied and was able to move, but soon noticed a bizarre creature leaning over her. The creature was lizard-like with huge eyes. She saw many shiny instruments around her. 3 or 4 lights shone over her, and suddenly she felt the creature climb over her, touching her, and she felt like screaming, but her throat did not obey her. She felt everything, but soon lost consciousness again. She regained consciousness in a hospital 200 kilometers away from where she had originally been. Her boat was found on an island. The mucus or mucilage-like substance proved difficult to wash away from her body. That's creepy. Does not sound like a pleasant experience at all.
No, frog spawn or that's a fish sack, one or the other.
Yeah. I just think of Stephen Greer's out there trying to summon aliens. And what if he got these?
Yeah. That's just
Wait a minute. Nope. The following is an unedited report from Great Britain a few years ago. I awoke one night in a state of which I can only explain as a spasm. My body was in a rigid state, and I could not move a muscle and felt like something was on top of me. I fought to get movement back into my body. I could not turn my head or move at all. It was like I was having a fight to get control of my body. After a few panic-stricken moments, I could barely move my fingers, only a little bit. I felt like there was more than just a spasm. I felt dirty and touched. It was a horrible feeling from deep inside of me.
Wow.
I could barely move my toes. Again, very slightly. My throat felt like it was being held. I could feel something was on top of me, and my hands were by my side, but I felt like they were around my own throat, holding tightly. I was using all my might to break free from this spasmodic state. Then I could feel something breathed in my left ear. The sound of a growl-like noise right next to my ear. I struggled to move my head to the left, like breaking free from a stranglehold. I could barely see the outline of a head, a big long head next to my own face. As the spasm-like feeling started to wear off, a tiny bit at a time, I could work out that this thing was on top of me looked like a lizard/newt thing. It was like blending together of all that was around it, or maybe invisible. I'm not very sure which, but I could see it clearly as the seconds passed. It was reptilian. I growled at it, or I think I did. My mind, my body gave all that I could to do so. I bared my teeth at it, and I could feel it could read my mind. I was swearing at it and shouting all sorts of obscenities at it. I felt violated and used. The next thing, it was quickly off of me and was standing to one side of the bottom of my bunk bed. A light came through the thin gap in the curtains, and there were different shades of golden light, which also had very small particles inside it, like dust or small stars that moved around like little bright lights. The reptilian creature was about 6 feet tall. I could sense it was either proud or happy with itself, maybe both. I tried to sit up as best I could. Through my mind, I swore at it again. The creature walked forward and stepped into the light beam, and as it did, the feet and legs vanished into the light, and the more the creature moved forward towards the window, the more of it vanished. After it was gone, I felt relaxed, but I could still feel where I was held around my throat. I felt I was taken advantage of by this horrendous monster. I awoke to a bright sunny day, and I could hear my mother downstairs washing up and doing housework, and I lay in bed and didn't move a muscle. I ran the incident through my mind again and again, and yes, I could still feel where I was held around my throat. I know this happened. My mind, heart, soul know that this happened. For the life of me, I could not run downstairs to explain to my mom about this. Who would have believed it? How would my parents have handled such a thing? I did not know what to do. Since that night, my stepfather passed away. I asked my mom if she believed in aliens and UFOs. She replied that my stepfather said once that he saw a UFO near Brighton while at sea in the 1960, and he swore that it was a UFO, but only told my mother this. I never told my mom about my experience, as I thought it would be too harrowing for her to hear. What do I do about my experience? I'd love to do something about it. It may help somebody, so I'm just being very honest. Things like this should be discussed. An answer has to be found on why this is happening. And the name obviously was withheld, but yeah. That's creepy. I don't know what's going on here, dude.
Nope.
These are not happy stories. These are not good.
No.
These are not good stories.
And, you know, and it seems like anytime reptilians are mentioned, it's always a not happy story.
Yeah, they're not really good at making people feel.
Well, you know, people believe that there are two different types of reptilians too. There are the Draco reptilians, which are huge, like closer to 10 feet, and then you've got other reptilians that are closer to 6 or 7 feet, which aren't as aggressive as the Dracos. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's just a whole bunch of stuff there.
There's a bunch of stuff there.
Bunch of stuff.
You know what though?
Yep.
I know we got a late start, and I'm sorry, but we do have to wrap this up now.
Yeah.
Got to get Don home so he can
Things
get to
to
bed.
do. Yep.
Things to do. But, and ladies and gentlemen, I do apologize for the technical problems at the beginning of the show. I'll keep working on it. We'll test it again on Friday. But again, Saturday night, Deb Varner will be here doing psychic readings. So if you want a free psychic reading, just call in using the number that appears on the bottom bar here, or 720. Wait, is that 720-923-0500? That will be the number as always. And you can call in and get a free reading.
Call early, hold the line, and one question, please.
Yeah, just keep the question to a bare minimum because a lot of people want readings and we got to keep the readings moving. But anyway, Deb does private readings as well, so you can always
Purple Mystic Reader
at gmail.com. So that's going to wrap it up for us tonight. Thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for your patience and understanding as we sorted out the technical issues. Don, anything in close?
Thanks. Check out the Teespring.
Our portal gear is listed in the description below on a Teespring site. Check it out. It goes a long way to help us support the endeavor of doing these live shows and
Also known
investigations.
as our habit.
Yeah, you guys are helping to support our habits. So getting on cameras and acting like an idiot is important to us.
Well, let's be honest. We've been
Thank
doing
you,
it for
E-Raw.
6 years,
E-Rev says, Brent, you're a good man. Thanks.
He seems to be a pretty decent dude.
Yeah, I do my best, guys. But thank you. You guys are amazing. And thank you to our members.
Yep.
As always, it goes a long way to help support this show, too. None of this is cheap or easy, so every little bit helps.
But I could be both.
Anyway, that's all we got time for, thank God. So, love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day and remember to laugh as much as you can. We'll be back Friday night for another go-around. Sheldon will be here. The birthday boy, Sheldon Thomas, will be here. So, tune in then. Is there a member stream tomorrow? Yes, there will be a member stream tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
For you members, that's right. Thank you, Maggie. I probably would have forgot that.
Yeah, just members.
It's been that kind of week. But anyway, yeah, members of the YouTube channel can expect a private stream tomorrow with me, and we'll dig into some
Your
fun
private dancer.
stuff. I'm gonna kill it now. I've lost my desire to go on. All right, love you guys. Take care. We'll see you next time.
Good night.
Private dancer. What the hell's wrong with you?
A lot.
I know.